Okay, hello everyone. So this is biology week 2 AMS. Okay, start. So why is water important to living organisms? Obviously, water we all need. ماشي. It has a high heat of vaporization, which allows organisms to release excess heat. So basically, you sweat, water evaporates, you get cooled down. It has a high heat capacity, which allows organisms to transport substances within their bodies. It has nothing to do with that. The high heat capacity is responsible for it not changing temperature rapidly. So basically, water changes its temperature slower than other substances. Okay, so if I put it in a very hot place, it will take longer to change its temperature. So it will change it slower. It won't rapidly change. Its molecules are cohesive and adhesive, which allow organisms to regulate their temperature. No, cohesion and adhesion don't have anything to do with regulating temperature. That is high heat capacity. It is less dense in the solid form, which protects aquatic organisms from freezing during the winter. So it is less dense in solid form. So basically, when I freeze ice, the ice is less dense than water, meaning the ice floats on water. The ice acts as a shield, protecting the underwater organisms from the cold above. It's shielding them from the cold above, which means the cold doesn't get down to the water as fast. Like it doesn't get down to the water as much, sorry. And then also combined with the high heat capacity, it won't change temperatures. Like it doesn't easily change temperatures. So the aquatic organisms are unharmed. It is a solvent that supports chemical reactions in organisms. Obviously, solvent, water is a universal solvent, and it supports all chemical reactions in organisms. The whole reason we have chemical reactions inside our bodies and in all bodies of all living things is because of water, because it is the thing that is supporting it. Number 2, which of the following is an example of hydrogen bonding? So please don't get mixed up. If the hydrogen and the oxygen are are bonded within the same water molecule, then it does not count as hydrogen bonding. It has to be one hydrogen and one oxygen in different water molecules. And always remember, hydrogen is slightly positive and oxygen is slightly negative. Okay, you can remember it because that H is H plus and O is O2 minus. So H is plus, O is minus, H is slightly positive, O is slightly negative. Okay, they attract and it's uneven sharing, obviously, so it makes a hydrogen bond. It's called a hydrogen bond. Okay, remember, it is in the vicinity and not in the same water molecule. So if it's in the same water molecule, it's called a polar bond. But if it's so, I don't want to confuse you guys. If hydrogen and oxygen are bonded together, but they are in the same water molecule, then it's called a polar bond. If hydrogen and oxygen are bonded together, but the hydrogen, let me draw it for you guys. Horrible artist. Okay, oxygen, hydrogen, oxygen, hydrogen. Okay, if this hydrogen with this oxygen, that's a polar bond. That's a hydrogen bond, H bond. Okay, that is P bond, polar bond. Ya Rab, polar bond. Okay, don't get mixed up, guys, please. Next. Which of the following describe the bond found between separate water molecules? As I just said, the polarity of the water molecules results in hydrogen bonds between separate water molecules. And the hydrogen atom, slight positive, is attracted to the oxygen atom, slight negative, of the other water molecule in the vicinity. Okay. Which of the following are true concerning isomers? So isomers are molecules with identical molecular formulas, so they have the same molecular formula. They do not have different molecular formulas. Isomers have the same number of atoms but are comprised of different elements. No, that is wrong. Okay, isomers have the same number of atoms of each element. Yes, they have the same number of atoms of each element. Okay, isomers have the same functional groups. No, they don't have the same functional groups. That's why they are called isomers. They have a different arrangement of the atoms. Okay, and isomers have different chemical properties. Okay, so isomers, they have the same number of atoms, but they don't have the same chemical properties. They don't have the same functional group. One of them is comprised of a different arrangement than the other, so they're arranged differently. Okay, the atoms are arranged differently in each, but they have the same number of atoms. Okay, and they have identical molecular formula. Okay, so the exact same. Which of the following statements are true about the properties of water? So, due to the high heat capacity of water, organisms are protected against rapid temperature changes and are better able to maintain their normal internal temperatures. See, that's exactly what I told you. So, it is protected against the rapid temperature changes. So, water doesn't go from 0 to 100 degrees Celsius in 2 seconds. It takes time. Okay, like when my mother is like cooking food, and then it takes a long time for the water to boil, or when she's like making tea, or it takes a long time for the water to boil. Okay, due to its polarity, water acts as the major solvent in organisms. As I said, it acts as the major solvent in organisms due to its polarity. I'll explain why a little bit later when we get to cohesion and adhesion. Okay, I'll explain. Let me tell you guys why the options that are wrong are actually wrong. So, since frozen water is less dense than liquid water, bodies of organisms cool down when the excess body heat is used to evaporate water. No, that is heat of vaporization. Excess body heat is released, cooling down. That is heat of vaporization. Remember, sweating, evaporation, you cool down. Since frozen water is more dense than liquid water, ice floats on water and acts as an insulator to allow the survival of aquatic organisms in winter. It is not more dense, it is less dense, because if it was more dense, it would sink in water and it wouldn't float. Because of ionic bonding, على طول, water does not have ionic bonding. There is no ionic bonding. Okay. Number 6. Which of the following represent the importance of ice being less dense than liquid water? As we said, ice is less dense than liquid water. So ice acts as an insulator, a shield to prevent the water below it from freezing. So the ice acts as a shield, it protects it from the cold outside, so the water down doesn't freeze and kill all the organisms inside it. Like I said, ice protects organisms from a sudden change in temperature. Which of the following are true of hydrogen bonding? So, hydrogen bonds are caused by the attraction of a slightly positive hydrogen in one water molecule to a slightly negative atom oxygen in another water molecule. I explained this, guys. Please don't get mixed up. Okay. Multiple hydrogen bonds are collectively quite strong. Yes, hydrogen bonds together are collectively strong. But remember that covalent bonds are a single covalent bond is stronger than a single hydrogen bond, and the single ionic bond is stronger than a single hydrogen bond. Hydrogen bonds are strong together. Okay. So hydrogen bonds, guys, hydrogen bonds don't only occur in water molecules. It has to have hydrogen, yes, but it can link with any other thing, when any other thing that is electronegative. I don't know how to draw the sign of electronegative. The whatever that I just drew, this is the electronegative. Okay, this is slightly electronegative, this is slightly electropositive. Okay, but there has to be hydrogen. Hydrogen is something that has to be there, but it doesn't have to be water molecules, and this doesn't have to be oxygen. It doesn't have to be oxygen. Does not have to be oxygen. Okay. Number 8. Water has a high specific heat capacity. Okay, high specific heat capacity. Remember, sudden change does not happen. Sudden change of temperature, no way that happens. It allows water organisms to live in a stable environment. Just like I said, organisms are better able to maintain their internal temperature, obviously. Water, because obviously internal temperature, water, we have a lot of water inside us. That's why water has a high latent heat of vaporization. So converting 1 gram of the hottest water into gas requires the input of 540 calories of energy. Okay, that's just information for you. They're not gonna ask you that. So like, that's kharabish, bullshit. Don't like concern yourself with that. The cooling of a surface occurs when the liquid evaporates. Cooling of a surface occurs when the liquid evaporates. I am sweating. This is an arm. Yes, it's an arm. Okay, arm. Sweat. Sun. Sweat go up. I'm cool now. Okay. When an animal sweats, body heat is used to evaporate the water, cooling the animal. Okay, that's just like I said. This also helps moderate Earth's climate. Both of the properties mentioned are owed to the hydrogen bonds between water molecules. Okay. One hydroxyl group and one hydrogen atom are removed. When two molecules of glucose are joined together by a condensation reaction. Guys, please. Condensation, joining together. Okay, please remember condensation. Okay, maltose is formed. So 2 glucose equals 1 maltose. 2 glucose equals 1 maltose. Okay, 1 hydroxyl group and 1 hydrogen atom are removed from the subunits and form water. So in condensation, just like in normal condensation, like مثلا you have like a window, okay, and then from outside, like you have like these little tiny water droplets, okay. It's because that the water vapor around the window gets cooled down and created into water, okay. That's how it happens. Just like here, forming water. So it takes one hydroxyl group and one hydrogen atom, fuses it together, you get H2O, okay. Sorry, I'm messy and I don't know how to draw, and like my handwriting isn't the best, okay. As our dear business teacher, Mr. Rami, tells me, خربشت دجاج. Like I write like a chicken. I agree. Removed from the subunits and formed water, okay. Alpha 1,4 glycosidic bond is formed, okay. So memorize this, guys. In condensation, maltose, when maltose is formed, you have an alpha 1,4 glycosidic bond, okay. This is for your information, just they might ask you that, so please remember 1,4 glycosidic bond. Water has a high specific heat capacity, just like we have said 20 times now. This is owed to the hydrogen bonds between the water molecules. This allows aquatic organisms to live in a stable environment. Organisms are better able to maintain their internal temperature as a high proportion of their cells are composed of water. I've done this many times, okay. Question 11. Water is a reagent in photosynthesis. Obviously, water has a role to play in photosynthesis. Energy from sunlight is used to separate hydrogen from oxygen in water molecules. Hydrogen from oxygen in water molecules. That is what the energy from sunlight is used for in photosynthesis. Now, also water is a reagent in hydrolysis. This is important, guys. Hydrolysis, during which large molecules are broken down into smaller molecules. So hydrolysis, also known as degradation, okay. Big molecule broken down, small molecule, okay. Small molecules, so more than one, okay. Hydrolysis, degradation, condensation, I think. Oh my god. What? I remember condensation. I remember the other name for condensation. It'll come up, it'll pop up. I blanked out. Oh wow. Okay. Water molecules consist of an oxygen atom covalently bonded to 2 hydrogen atoms. Okay, just like I said, it is covalently bonded, but it's not like it's a polar bond between them. It's not non-polar, it's a polar bond between them. The oxygen atom possesses more protons in its nucleus than the hydrogen atom, and therefore pulls one of the shared electron more strongly. See? So it isn't equal sharing, it's uneven sharing. That's why it's a polar bond. We say the oxygen is more electronegative than the hydrogen atom. The oxygen atom will therefore have a slight negative charge, while the hydrogen atom will have a slight positive charge. Just like I said, more electropositive is the hydrogen, more electronegative is the oxygen. The bond within the water molecule is termed a polar covalent bond. Polar covalent bond. Within water, polar covalent bond. Okay? Hydrogen bond caused by a slightly positive hydrogen to a slightly negative atom. See how they didn't say oxygen? They said slightly positive hydrogen, but they never specified the other one. It can be a slightly negative atom, but it has to be slightly negative. Okay, it is formed when a charged part of a molecule having polar covalent bonds has an interaction with a substance of opposite charge. Okay, the polarity of the water molecules results in hydrogen bonds between separate water molecules. So separate water molecules form hydrogen bonds. The hydrogen atom, slight positive, attracted to the oxygen atom, slight negative, of another water molecule in the vicinity. Hydrogen bonds are weaker than ionic or covalent bonds. So, just like I said, one ionic bond is stronger than the hydrogen, one covalent bond is stronger than the hydrogen. They are represented by dotted lines and are easily broken. Multiple hydrogen bonds are collectively strong, so they are strong together. Strength in numbers, okay, remember that. For example, 2 strands of DNA are held together by hydrogen bonds. Our DNA is connected by hydrogen bonds. Many hydrogen bonds, which makes it strong. The shape of protein is maintained by hydrogen bonds between amino acids. So just keep that in mind. The shape of protein is maintained. Hydrogen. Okay. Okay. See this. This is polar. This is kharabish. This is kharabish. This is kharabish. This is hydrogen. Okay. So polar. Hydrogen. Why? This is one water molecule, this is another water molecule, this is another water molecule. Same water molecule, polar. Different water molecules, so different water molecules, oh my god, different water molecules, hydrogen bond, okay? Oh, I have to speed up all. High specific heat capacity, live in a stable environment, okay, and it also, water absorbs abundant heat without a vast change in temperature. I've said that 20 times. High latent heat of vaporization, animal sweats, becomes colder. Hydrogen bonds between the water molecules must be broken before water boils. Obviously, you can't evaporate water or boil it without breaking the bonds first. Please remember that. Frozen water is less dense than liquid water. Ice floats on water, it acts as an insulator. For the ice to act as an insulator, it has to float. For the ice to float, it has to be less dense. Simple as. Water is a solvent. When ions and polar molecules dissolve in water, they may move about and collide, allowing chemical reactions. That is why water is a solvent. Water molecules are cohesive. Okay. Cohesion, adhesion. Basically, this is a polar surface. Okay? Polar. Remember, this is a polar surface. Water can stick to polar surfaces. This is called adhesion. Water sticking with itself is cohesion. Okay? So cohesion is with itself. Adhesion is with polar surfaces. Please remember that. Okay? And that's how things are transported in the body, because they cling to the walls. You know how they cling? You know how like you have a xylem in the plant, and then the water clings to the walls of the xylem, and then the xylem moves it up. That's how water is transported. That's how things are transported in your body. To link together monomers when synthesizing a polymer, the equivalent of water must be removed. Guys, to link polymers, big thing, to link them together, you have to remove H2O. You have to get rid of it. Okay? Equivalent of water molecule. So basically, the equivalent of a water molecule is an OH group, which is a hydroxyl group, and then H. Together they make H2O. Okay? This is termed a condensation reaction, as water is released as the result of each bond formed. Okay? Please, guys, remember condensation reaction. It's called a condensation reaction. What is the other thing that you could say? Okay. The other name is dehydration. Okay? So dehydration equals condensation. Same thing. Okay? Just like how degradation equals to hydrolysis. La. Okay? 15. Okay. To degrade a polymer into monomers, a hydroxyl group attaches. So in degradation or hydrolysis, you add water. Okay? Groups, a hydroxyl group attaches to one and the hydrogen atom to another. So you don't add H2O itself, you add OH and H, which is the equivalent of H2O. It equals H2O. It's the same thing. Okay? This is termed the hydrolysis reaction. Water is added to the biomolecule to break it down. So hydrolysis breaks down and dehydration builds up. dehydration builds up, not degradation. Dehydration builds up, which is the same as condensation, and degradation and hydrolysis break down. Water molecules in ice are farther apart than those in liquid water, which is why it's less dense. Frozen water is less dense, just like I said, to float. That's why it floats. Surface acts as an insulator. I've said this 20 times. Please, guys, no one should be getting it wrong. The two organic molecules shown in the figure above have the same molecular formulas. Same molecular formulas. See, look. They look the exact same. But look at the arrangement. They changed the arrangement. So see how the C double O is in the middle here on the right. It's on the right in the left diagram. It's on the right, but on the right diagram it's in the middle. See, they just switched the order, but it's the same thing. It's the exact same thing. Okay. The two organic molecules, same molecular formulas, different functional groups. The functional group is different. See how each one, the functional group is different? That is why we call them isomers. Okay, I've also explained that before. The formation of maltose is an example of condensation. Formation equals to condensation. Hydroxyl group removed. You remove a hydroxyl group, obviously, and you're gonna have to remove a hydrogen atom as well. This type of reaction synthesizes. So we synthesize, we create biomolecules, and it is accompanied by the formation of water molecule. So when you remove the hydroxyl and you remove the hydrogen atom, you smush them together, you get water. That's the byproduct of this whole process. The breaking down of maltose is an example of a hydrolysis. So you break down hydrolysis, hydroxyl group from water attaches to one, then the hydrogen atom attaches to the other. This type of reaction breaks down the biomolecules by adding water. Okay? Hydrolysis breaks, condensation builds up. So as you see here, so the O is slightly negative, the H is slightly positive, and the O is in the middle of the two H's. Obviously the bond is between O and H. It gives water molecules the ability to cling to each other. So cling to each other is cohesion. It helps keep water as a liquid under the conditions of temperature and pressure on Earth. So as a liquid under the conditions of temperature and pressure on Earth is cohesion. It gives water the ability to cling to other polar surfaces, adhesion. Adhesion, cling to other polar surfaces. Cling to the walls of the transport vessels as well, adhesion. So clinging to other surfaces is adhesion, clinging to itself is cohesion. Cohesion refers to the ability of water to cling to each other. Adhesion refers to the ability of water to cling to other polar surfaces. So what property of water allows a water strider to walk on the surface of a pond? It's called high surface tension. Memorize it. Walking on water is a possibility for these insects or for these organisms because of high surface tension. Name the bond responsible for the above water property. Obviously, it's the hydrogen bond. That's what allows water to do hydrogen. You can write it like this, but just write hydrogen bond. It's much more simple. Glycerol and dihydro. You can read that by yourself. Basically, those two things are isomers because they have identical molecular formula, different arrangement of atoms. We did it before. You know what it is. I'm confident. I believe in you guys. A subunit of a large molecule, monomer. So I'm gonna simplify this as much as possible. Small equals monomer, big equals polymer. That's it. That's all it is. Well, that's all it is. Like you link 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, polymer. 1 monomer. That's it. That's all it is. Carbohydrates, proteins, nucleic acids, they're all big things, so they're polymer. Lipids are neither. Memorize it. That's the way of life. Lipids are neither. تيس ما بده. They're neither. It is also called a dehydration reaction. Synthesis. Okay, now we have 3 names for dehydration. Why? Don't ask me. Dehydration, synthesis, and condensation all mean same thing. Okay. It is also called hydrolysis. Hydrolysis is the same as degradation. Requires the addition of water, so adding water is degradation, which is also hydrolysis. Forming water is synthesis, which is also dehydration and condensation. And basically we have monomer H, monomer OH gives you H2O, the same thing. You just reversed it here. It's the exact same thing. It doesn't matter. Both are correct. The figure represents a dehydration reaction. Why? You're gonna ask me why is it dehydration? It's forming water, okay? And you can switch them. It doesn't matter left, right, left, whatever. It doesn't matter where the OH and the H is. It can be from either one. It doesn't matter. To synthesize a macromolecule, a cell uses a condensation reaction. So obviously, synthesis, condensation are the same thing. So to synthesize, you're gonna condense. This is commonly called dehydration. So synthesis, dehydration, condensation are all one process, same thing. And water is formed. For some reason, they're going to repeat the same question, I think, right? Please tell me it's now. Is it now? I think it's now. Okay, we move on to 29. Why is water important to living organisms? It has a high heat of evaporation, which allows organisms to release excess heat. Evaporation releases excess heat. High heat capacity doesn't allow your internal body temperature or the temperature of water to change rapidly. It is less dense. It allows to survive longer. It acts as an insulator. It acts like as a shield. It is a solvent that supports chemical reactions in organisms. We've done it 20 times, guys. Properties of water, like I want like 100% success rate for the whole grade on it. Wallah. When proteins are synthesized, a water/ATP molecule is released and sorry. When proteins are synthesized, a water molecule is released and an ATP molecule is needed. So basically, when you synthesize something, water is going to be formed and you need energy to do it. This is a dehydration, another word for it. When proteins are broken down during digestion, an ATP molecule is released. So when you break something down, you're going to release energy and add water. When you want to build something up, you remove water and consume energy. And breaking down obviously means hydrolysis. Polymer is a protein, monomers are amino acids. So in this process, identify the polymer and the monomer. So basically the polymers that are responsible for these processes are the proteins, and then the monomers of the proteins are amino acids. Basically, when you link these amino acids together, you get the big thingy, which is the protein. And then two more. So non-polar covalent bonds, H with C, H with C, H with C. So they're basically normal covalent bonds. This is a normal covalent bond. Polar covalent bonds, so in water, just like I said, and N with H, N with H, N with H. Guys, we know this same molecule. If it was with a different one, then it would be a hydrogen bond. Okay, so like if the H here was with the N somehow, it was like with the N here, and then there was like an H, and with the H, and then H. I think that would be considered a hydrogen bond, I believe. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure. So what type of bond is formed when two nitrogen atoms join together, knowing that nitrogen has 5 valence electrons? So obviously if you have 5 valence electrons, you need 3 more to get 8 to fill your shell. Okay, so like since the subshell has a maximum of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and you already have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those occupied, you still need 1, 2, 3, which is why you take triple. Okay. See here, normal covalent bond, which means non-polar, normal covalent bond, which means non-polar, polar covalent bond, slightly electronegative, hydrogen slightly electropositive, oxygen slightly electronegative. This is an ionic bond because you see Na plus Cl minus, they share the electrons, you get NaCl ionic bond. Last question, thank God. Fill in the blank to determine the type of bond linking the water molecules. Guys, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. This is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, whatever. Okay. This is 5. Actually, they are not the same molecule. They're different molecules. This is why it's called hydrogen bond. If I told you this, then this would be non-polar bond. Okay, but this is a hydrogen bond. Oh wait, sorry. That's a these are non-polar bonds. Sorry, this is a hydrogen bond. Okay, please don't get confused, guys. So same water molecule, non-polar covalent bond, different water molecules, hydrogen bond. Okay, and yeah, that's it. Thank you, guys. Please, if you have any questions, if you have my number, contact me. I'll answer you guys. So yeah, and good luck. Bye bye.